So this is the review for the quiz. Seriously, everybody's confident they can state and find slope, distance, midpoint. Slope is what? Yep, change in y over change in x. Midpoint is what?
X1 minus X2.
It is average. When you average, you don't subtract, right? You add and divide by 2 if you're averaging two numbers. Okay? What are we doing for distance?
That's the square x1 minus x2 plus y1 minus y2.
Okay. Does it matter if you do x2 minus x1? No, it doesn't matter. All right. Any of those you need me to actually calculate for these two ordered pairs up here? All right, I'm moving on. The worked out key is in Google Classroom. All I got to do is ask and I'll go over it though. It says I can graph a line from any form. So what if I gave you this form? How many of you want to rearrange it? Anybody want to use intercepts? If I put in x is 0, what happens? It'll say negative 5y equals 10, which if I divide, I get negative 2, right? If I put in y equals 0 back here, it'll just say 2x equals 10, which would mean x equals 5. Across 0, down 2, right 5 and up 0. My tablet is working. It's so exciting. Okay, you could definitely have rearranged the equation as well. This is a hot mess. Because I looked at it and thought, oh, easy peasy, right? Just get the y by itself. But, yeah, what do you want to do? You want to add x over to the other side? Okay. 2/3 y equals x plus 6. You could multiply everything by 3. So you'd get 2y equals 3x plus 18. Okay, so then you want to divide everything by 2. So you'd have y equals 3/2 x plus 9. So I can't even find 9 up at the top of the graph paper, and I'm supposed to go up 3 and over 2. What else could I do? Down 3 from 9, which would be 6, and back 2. Down 3 more and back 2. I don't know, I think that's roughly the line. Questions? More practice that is on worksheet 3 or 4, one or the other. 3, I think. All right. Explain the relationship between these, parallel, perpendicular, neither. Do we need to do this? Yes, please. Okay. What do we do to find the relationship between AB and CD? Slope, which is the y's on top of the x's. So I'm going to go 6 minus 5. It doesn't matter what order you do it in, as long as you do the y's on the top. Negative 4 minus 2, and you do the x's in the same order as you did the y's. So I have 1 over negative 6. Anybody else get that, or did I make a mistake? Over here, if I do the y's first, use your calculator. I know some of you still struggle with integers once in a while. I got that. Did anybody else get those two disgusting? Okay, so I'm thinking they're what? Yeah, not neither parallel nor perpendicular. Okay, can anybody give me an example real quick of parallel? Negative 1/6 and negative 1/6, right? Because they have to be the same. Perpendicular would be negative 1/6 and positive 6. Okay. This says careful new. We maybe didn't practice this. What do you want to do on this one? Must be one like this on the quiz if I put it on here. You want to multiply by 4 and it'll move it to the other side basically, right? You could also think of it as a cross multiply problem. Would that work? It's really doing the same thing. So 1 times 2c plus 11. Whoops, sorry, I don't know what happened to my equal sign there. 4 times 9c minus 3. And then solve. And please remember, when they don't work out nice, it wants an exact fraction. I'm like skipping steps. Did anyone else have 23 over 34? No? Yes? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. What about this guy? This is on the quiz, a disgusting one like this. Does anybody remember the big deal? What do you have to do first? You have to distribute first. So 1 times 2 is 2. 7 times 3 is 21. And that had an x. And then distribute back here. 1, this is a 4 over 1. So 1 times 4 is 4. 7 times 1. And then over here we have a 4/7 x minus 19/3. Honestly, after forgetting to distribute, which a lot of people do, the second most common mistake is to lose an x. So just be real careful. Ugh. Yeah, I think we should multiply through by what? Yeah, the whole idea is use least common denominator. So won't 21 work? So 21 times 2 divided by 21 would be 2. 21 times 4 divided by 7 will be 12. And same back here, 21 times 4 divided by 7x will be 12x. 21 times 19 divided by 3. Yep, it's 131 what? Okay. If I subtract 2x and add the 133 over here, 145 equals 10x. Did anybody else get that, or did I add wrong? Okay. If you made that one a decimal, it would be exact, so I would take it. Otherwise, 145 divided by 10 with a math enter. Thank you. 14.5 would work because it's an exact decimal. But if your calculator gives you 14.142857, then you need to do a math enter and get a fraction. All right. The third section of the quiz is about writing linear equations. This is probably the most troublesome for students because there are a lot of different ways you're asked to do that. First thing it asks is to list the 3 forms. Somebody quick, what's slope-intercept? If anybody gets that one wrong, I'm going to cry. Okay, point-slope equals m. Okay. And standard form? ax plus by equals c. And you do not have to write the restrictions, but they are that a has to be greater than or equal to 0, and a, b, and c must be integers. But you don't have to write that on the quiz. As long as you can state the formula and then do it correctly when it asked, you'll be fine. All right. I can write equation of a line parallel or perpendicular. So this one happens to say parallel. What are we going to do with the 1/2? We're going to keep the 1/2. The parallel slope will still be 1/2. Do I need the 11 for anything? No. I just needed to find a parallel to that line, and they were nice and gave it the line to us in slope-intercept form so I could pull a slope out easily. Then my line has to go through this point. So y minus the y value. Make sure you remember x and y. Oh! I don't know what happened. Did it make a... Okay. We're just going to go back. We're okay, right? I'll be all right. Equals the slope. Oh, I know what I was trying to do. I was trying to write x and y above those. And then x minus -6 or plus +6. What form do I want this particular question in when I'm all done? Yeah, make sure you reread the question. It says slope-intercept, so I need the y by itself. If I distribute, I get 1/2 x, half times 6 is 3. Add 8. As slope-intercept, 1/2 x plus 11. Did anybody have that? Okay. It is the same line. That won't happen on the quiz. Yeah, apparently this line went through this point already. It's a bad example. I honestly don't think the one on the quiz is parallel. It's probably perpendicular. Because what do you have to do for perpendicular? Flip and change the sign. Now, I did give you the first one in an easy form. So if we flip and change the sign, the perpendicular slope would be what? -1/4. And it's supposed to go through 110, but our answer has to be in standard form. So tell me real quick, y minus 10 equals -1/4 times x minus 1. If I distribute first, negative times a negative would be +1/4. You want to get rid of the fractions now or later? It's totally up to you. We do it now. What are we going to multiply everything by? 4 on both sides. So we get 4y minus 40 equals -1x plus 1. Okay, final answer in standard form, anybody? We need to add the 1x over here. So we'll have 1x, or just x, plus 4y. And then we got to add 40 over here, which makes that a lovely 41. Okay, does that work for this? Put in a 1 and a 10. 1 times 10 plus 4 times... 1 times 1 plus 4 times 10 is 41, right? Okay. We got those kinds? What about if they give us 2 points? Do slope first. So x, y... what? Why? Y, x, y... I don't know why it won't let me write up there. So this is an x, this is a y, this is an x, this is a y. So 2 minus 4 over 1 minus -6 would be -2/7. Now what? This is our slope. Do we need a midpoint? Guys, don't get confused. This is not perpendicular bisector, okay? It just has to go through one of these points. Which one do you want to use? Anybody? The one without a negative? Okay. So it would be y minus 2 equals -2/7 times x minus 1 from the x up there. If I distribute, you want to get rid of the fractions now or later? It does say standard form. And honestly, I think there's only one that's standard form on the quiz, but I just put a couple on the review so that we practiced it more than once. Does that make sense? Because it's probably the one we have the most trouble with. If we multiply a 7 onto both sides, we'd have 7y minus 14 equals negative 2x plus 2. Anybody finish that one up? We have to add 2x over here, so we wouldn't have to change the signs, right? Add 14 over to the 2 and we get 16. Is that working for anybody? What was the ordered pair it was supposed to fit in there? 1, 2. If I put in a 1 here and a 2 here, I have 2 plus 7 is 16. 2 plus 14 is 16. I could talk. Negative 6, 4. If I put a negative 6 in here and a positive 4 here, this would become negative 12 plus 28. Seems like 16, right? Both ordered pairs should check if you wanted a way to check that you did it right. More practice on those, guys, can be found on worksheet 2. There was some examples in the notes, and worksheet 4. Okay. There is also an application question on the quiz. This one says a game has a monthly plan where a customer pays a flat monthly fee and then a certain amount of money per minutes played. If a customer plays 125 minutes, it costs $16. If they played 90 minutes, the cost is $13.90. Find the cost per minute. Anybody? Or you don't need to see this one? Kaden, any ideas? Is that a no? The cost is going to be the y values, yes. The cost per minute, we have to find, yes. Because let's just start out by talking about what we do have. If the cost is going to be the y value and the minutes are going to be the x, we have a couple ordered pairs. What do we have? 125, 16, and 90, 13.9 or 13.90. So these are dollars and these are minutes. So if we subtract, the change in this would be what? Is that 210, guys? 15. Yes, 2.1. And the change in x, 90. Oh, 125 minus 90. And 2.1 divided by 35. I think is it 0.06? So that was dollars over minutes. So it says cost per minute. So 0.06. There's already a dollar sign there. We can use that. Is this the same thing, guys? I love this.
No, that's a six.
Yeah, 6/100ths of a penny, right? So don't put cents. You could change it to 6 cents without the decimal, but it's already in dollars for this question. So find a linear equation as a function of x. Anybody?
0.6x. 0.06.
Okay.
And it's plus 8.5.
And where did you get 8.5?
I figured out how much the money costed for the minutes of one of them and then took out that money from
Okay.
the total.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways you could do it. I probably would have done it the math teacher way and used like this point and point slope. So y minus 16 equals 0.06 x minus 125, which is really what he did, because he did 6 cents times 125 minutes. And then he said, well, I'm going to subtract that off the cost and see how much is left. So this becomes, what's 0.06 times 125, guys? 78? 7 point, what is it?
7.5.
Thank you. So then if we add 16 over here, that's where he got 8.5. But he could have just figured that out by going back and messing with the numbers and figuring out how much the flat fee. Oh, I didn't ask. It didn't ask what the flat fee is, but that is the monthly fee, right? The flat monthly fee. This actually asks us to do what? Make a prediction. What happens if they played 225 minutes? Where does that go in? X. So we'd have 0.06 times 225 plus 8.5, and I'm going to assume you guys could do that. All right. And then there's only one more question on the quiz. It is what we did yesterday. It does not ask you to graph the data, so if you can't get that stat plot turned on and figure it all out, that's okay. But you do have to be able to find the correlation coefficient. What does that mean?
How close is
Okay, and what are you looking for on your calculator?
R?
The R. Now, apparently, I don't think I used this wording yesterday. Is something a good model? Do you remember what that would mean? What would make it a good model?
It's
Close to
the equation.
1, yeah. So the R value is close to 1, okay? R, or the absolute value, because remember it can be positive or negative, should be close to 1. So like 0.9 and above is great. Okay. If it was 0.5, it's not such a good fit. All right, so what is the trick to this particular question on the worksheet here? Somebody's going to put in 1985, 1990, 1995, and 2000. It says right here, let x equal 0 can be 1985. So we're going to use 0 and not 1, 2, 3. What are we going to use then?
0, 1.
No. Because it says year 0. Time began in 1985. This is not 1 year later. This is 5 years later. So for each of these, you're subtracting 1985. So 10 years later and 15 years later. You're going to get that right on the quiz? Okay. So then we go here. It never finished opening this just to haunt my life? Okay. Stat, enter, up onto the title, clear, enter to get that old stuff out. Yeah, can I get rid of these? Anyway, okay. So it was 0, 5, 10, and 15. Is that right, guys? And can anybody tell me, I don't even remember what we were doing. What are these representing? Something about cost? So we had 300. What's the next one? 700, 1200, 1550. Like that? Okay. Made it a nice short list. Everybody have it in list 1 and list 2. During the quiz tomorrow, you don't get to bring your calculator up and say, I don't remember how to find the list. Okay? If you accidentally delete list 2 and you bring it up and say, I deleted list 2 and I don't remember how to put a new list in, that I would help you do that. Okay? But if you just tell me I can't even remember how to enter a list, then you're just going to have to do a retake because you didn't do your homework and practice this enough to know how to do it. All right. It is graphing this, so if I do a zoom 9, there's the data points, okay? It has a weird equation saved in here that I could get rid of. All right. How did we find the equation of best fit to write down on our paper, though? Stats, right arrow, choice 4. Make sure it says list 1 and list 2 and nothing in the frequency list. The regression is stored in Y1. Vars, arrow to the right, enter, enter. Okay. Now I'm going to put that onto my screen here because it's going to ask me about that. All right, so first of all, what do I write down for the equation? Please read, you're in pre-calc, guys. It says to nearest 10,000th, and I even told you what that was, 3 places after the decimal, okay? So, oh, do I need to round on this one? Just kidding. Came out really nice, right? What is the correlation coefficient? That's the R, and that would round to 0.998. Did I do that right? So that would be, it's a good model, yes, close to 1. Use your model to predict the cost in 2019. So I have to subtract 1985. Is it 34, guys? So then I have to put a 34 into the equation. This one, it would be really easy to just type a 34 in, but do you remember, if you've saved it, what else could we do? Second graph and look at the table and scroll down to 34, which is a lot of scrolling. You actually could go to second table. Now I hit enter a lot of times. And tell it to start at 34. Either way, or just by going to the home screen and typing 85 times 34 plus 300, it's 3190. And that was dollars, I think. Not going to worry about a label. Question? Everybody feel like they're ready for the quiz? Or they know where to find more practice if they need it? Nobody has a question about the calculator stuff? Okay.